Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video doing the June month head forecast. Today we're going to have a look at the CFS V2 and the Asian Climate Centre models to see what may be ahead for the coming month, or the month that we just started. Before I get on with that, though, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages at GazUp.com. Browse widgets, any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You're going to go for read the article, and thanks so much for doing that. We're going to quickly recap on May's forecast. At the end of the video, have a quick sneak peek at July. So starting off with May, well, we've had our first cooler than average month, and here we are. This is the final anomaly and centering temperature from Hadley. It is confirmed now that we come out at 10.8 degrees for May 2015, which is an anomaly of 0.4 degrees below the 61 to 90 average, the old average. That is a colder anomaly because it encompasses the really cold decade of the 1960s. If you was to compare this to the more modern averages of 71 to 2000 and 81 to 2010, it would actually be even colder than those anomalies. So it's been a pretty chilly month of it, actually, in May 2015. The Gauss weather this forecast for May was for a near normal month in terms of temperature and precipitation, actually erring a little bit on the side of slightly milder than average, and rainfall would come out around average. I think the rainfall side of things has been okay. It's not been a desperately wet month, but it has been relatively mixed, so we have had rain bands coming through at fairly consistent intervals. There's been a lot of regional variation, but I think overall probably not deviating too far from the average for the country as a whole. Wetter in the north, drier in the south in the main theme with that. In terms of the temperature, though, well, we've come out around half a degree colder than the old 61 to 90 average, and colder than that compared to modern averages. So I think the temperature prediction was a bit skewed. The signal was weak, and we said that the models were generally hinting at maybe a little bit cooler than average. So it's probably the case, actually, with the May forecast, but the models had it closer to my prediction. I should have went with the models, really. They got it right, and it just goes to show you that sometimes the models do get these predictions right, even when the forecasts are sort of weak, when the signal is weak. Incidentally, June has come out at, for the first day, we've only got the 1st of June provisionally, came out at 9.5, which is a 3.3 degree colder than average anomaly. So it's a very, very cold day yesterday for the time of year, and it was a proper horrible, wet and windy day with the temperature well below average. So not a great forecast really for May, but as I say, we're going to go on now, have a look at June. This is the CFS V2 500 millibar, 700 millibar, I should say, height anomaly for June. We've got a ridge being predicted to the east of the country. These orange colours here indicate a ridge of above average height set somewhere around northern parts of Germany, with low pressure sort of digging out into the Atlantic and going down the south. So the jet stream is probably doing something like that. Rather an odd anomaly, and you would look at it and think that that's probably quite a warm anomaly as well, with an area of high pressure set somewhere around Germany. You would be suspecting that we bring up sort of southerly, southeasterly flows. That could be quite a hot month. But actually, the temperature anomaly, whilst it is warmer than average for most of Europe, is coming out around average, and maybe even hinting a little bit colder than average again, or colder than average for the UK. So the pressure distribution is one that should probably deliver a warmer than average month, but the temperature anomaly doesn't stack up with it. So again, we've got a confused picture here with the models within their ideas sort of conflicting with each other in some ways. And I think what could be going on here is that we've got a very cool Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic is probably the coldest it's been for several years at the moment, just to the west of the country. So this is almost certainly having an impact on the temperatures. The winds come off the Atlantic Ocean, where it is really quite cold, as I say, at the moment. It's probably having a bit of an impact on what's going on. So the pressure distribution would probably deliver us a warmer than average month normally, but because the Atlantic's gone quite cold, actually the temperature anomaly isn't going as high as you would expect for the pattern. The precipitation anomaly looks okay. A lot of dry weather coming through there, much drier than average month across many parts of Europe and that area of high pressure. For us, we are coming out drier than average in those sort of orange and red colours. The wetter stuff, actually, interestingly, is through the Mediterranean. So Spain and Portugal comes out with a wetter than average anomaly, as does southeastern parts of Europe through Greece. So the popular sort of holiday destinations, and North Africa as well, interestingly, the popular holiday destinations look wetter and it's drier up to the north. That's quite a strange scenario as well. But anyway, that's going off the point. For us, the signal is very strongly for a drier than average month from the CFSV2. The Bayesian Climate Centre, 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into 10-day periods, look like this. For the first 10-day period, which is from the 1st to the 10th of June, we find the trough of low pressure up to the northwest of the country and the ridge down in the south and the southwest. So the pattern is really similar to what we've had through May. The jet streams coming through the country, something like that. So the wettest, most of the set of conditions would be in the northwest, but driest, but not totally dry conditions would be down in the south and the southeast. We move through to the next 10-day period, going from the 11th to the 20th of June, and the area of above average heights actually builds over and to the east of the country. So the orange colours are in there across the UK, and they're set up to the east across central parts of Europe as well. So this is in agreement with CFSV2, actually, certainly for the middle 10 days of the month. A ridge sort of takes over through into central parts of Europe. You would suspect that would be turning the winds into a southerly or southeasterly type ridge. So you would think that's a milder or a warmer than average scenario. The jet stream is going something like that. So again, it's seeing unsettled weather digging down into Spain and Portugal. But from that anomaly, we should be on the mild side of the jet, and we should be bringing up southerly, southeasterly flows, which could get quite hot. We go through to the final 10-day period from the 21st to the 30th of June. And then there's signs of the pattern breaking down. What's going on there is that a trough of low pressure is developing to the south and the southwest country, although it is quite a weak signal, but it's definitely there as the ridge is sort of being pushed up towards the east and the northeast. So you will think that from that it's turning more unsettled with low pressure advancing in from the Atlantic, possibly thundery, bringing thundery rain to some parts of the country. Of course, the final week to 10 days of June encompasses Glastonbury and the start of Wimbledon as well. So it's always an important time for events the last week or so of June. And, well, taken on face value, that's not great, because it does look as though, particularly for England and Wales, where these events take place, of course, there is an increased risk, perhaps, of thundery rain coming into the south. The actual 500 millibar height anomaly for June, this is the anomaly averaged out through the whole period of June, shows that we've got a bit of a ridge to the east and the trough out to the west. So the jet stream again goes something like that. So very similar actually to CFSV2 in terms of the anomaly for the month as a whole. The temperature anomaly, which is quite interesting, comes out cooler than average, well, near normal to ever so slightly cooler than average, so very much the same as what we just saw from CFSV2. The two models appear to be in agreement. Notice that most of Europe, which is over here, if I just highlight it, so on the other side of the chart, most of Europe actually comes out significantly warmer than average. So as I say, the pattern with the high pressure set over Germany, or somewhere around Central Europe anyway, probably does indicate a warmer than average month. But we over here are coming out average to cooler than average. And I can only think that it's the cool temperature anomalies that we've got in the Atlantic Ocean that are making the difference to this. Notice that the central part of the Atlantic, which is coloured blue here, that's the temperature anomaly for the central part of the Atlantic, that is coming out significantly colder than average, where we've got those cold sea surface temperature anomalies. So I can only think that's having an impact on what the models are forecasting. And in terms of the rainfall anomaly for the month, we come out near normal again, possibly even hinting at being a little bit wetter than average in the north of the country in particular. But notice a significantly wetter than average month down across Spain and Portugal. Of course, that is set against what would be a very dry month normally. So a rainfall anomaly for Spain of 100% of average. In terms of what we would expect 100% of average to look like, probably isn't that wet a month really, but it is more unsettled than you would expect, certainly down through the Mediterranean. So it's a tricky old month to forecast again this month, very similar to what was going on in May, because the patterns are sort of conflicting with each other. The models are sort of arguing with each other really. The height anomalies will point to probably quite a mildish sort of month, whereas the temperature anomalies are pointing to another pretty cool month. So I think we'd better go for around average really, play it safe. We're going to go for average temperature anomaly for June, and that may even come out a little bit cooler than average as well. It's going to depend how often the wind can get up into the south and southeast. We're going to have a very short burst of southerly winds on Friday, but they're not going to last very long, and then they're going to get cut off as we go through into the weekend. Everything string together several sort of plumes from the south, and we could come out with a warmer than average month. But the signal is quite consistent here. It's quite strong from these models that the temperature anomaly probably no better than average, may even be a bit cooler than average as well. In terms of the rainfall anomaly, probably coming out near normal as well. Wettest conditions most likely up in the north, I would suggest, unless we get lots of thundery into. So a complicated month, as was May, but the GasWeathers.com June forecast is for temperature anomalies to be around average, maybe a little bit below, and in terms of the rainfall anomaly coming out near normal. Finally, having a quick look at July. This is the CFS V2 700 millibar height anomaly for July. Not a great deal going on, but what is evident is that the area of above average heights that for June is centred over Germany, for July it's pushed right back towards western parts of Russia. So whilst we just here are coloured sort of white, which is average anomalies, actually I suspect there would be a trough of low pressure within the 500 millibar flow somewhere around there. So I think the Jackson will probably be doing something like that. So if anything, July could be an even more unsettled month compared to June, and possibly quite cool as well. But we'll leave that alone and worry about it when we get to it. We have got a very complicated picture for June, so better not go too far on off on a tangent with July. So that's it. We'll see how the forecast verifies, of course, when we come back for next month's month-end forecast. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.